You're listening to Rise Above, a Rogers Behavioral Health podcast, where we sit down with Rogers experts who are changing the way the world views mental health and addiction. Hi again, listeners. Thank you again for checking out another episode of Rise Above, a podcast from Rogers Behavioral Health. In this episode, we're doing one of my favorite things, which is talking to former patients from Rogers about their experiences. And in this episode, we're talking with Craig. Craig came to Rogers in his 50s while struggling with OCD. And we're going to talk to him about his experience, the impact it had on his life, and the lessons he's learned along the way. And with that, let's just get right into it. Craig, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
So let's just start by talking about how OCD impacted your life growing up.
So I can now look back on my youth and probably by the age of 7, 8 years old, OCD was such that it was really kind of controlling my life. Being a little guy, I had Legos. Legos were my favorite toy, but at the end of the day, when it was time to go to bed, mom and dad would come in, tuck you in, turn the lights off, and go to sleep. Well, in my world, my head starts spinning, and I'm thinking about those Legos, and are all the Legos parked in the right spot? And I'd have to get up and check and make sure. And it was other stuff like the closet door. Is it open? Is it closed? So you couldn't just lay there and fall asleep. You had to go check the closet door. So that was very early on. And then, throughout my life, I think OCD showed itself in different ways and kind of different formats, if you will. But yeah, it was there early. And the thing was, this was in the 1970s.
Yeah.
And I highly doubt that my general practitioner even knew what mental health was. It just wasn't like you went in and they would have said, hey, your son is displaying some OCD tendencies. It didn't exist. So
Yeah.
untreated for all the years that I have had it. Yeah.
So when did you realize it was a problem?
Again, I can look back and I knew like it was not normal to be an 8-year-old going to bed, scared to death how long it was going to take me to actually fall asleep. Like
Hmm.
I was scared to death of bedtime.
Hmm.
And in high school, there was times when it was just this controlling thing. I know in college again. So it was always there. And I always knew, I was this neat freak, right?
Hmm.
You put terms to it before it's really a mental health issue. Oh, you're a neat freak, and oh, you record all this information. That's kind of weird, right? You journal about everything, and you're so organized and stuff. But so I always knew it was affecting my life in different ways and stuff. And my biggest thing is that for 40 some years before I truly got treatment, it's not going to get better if you don't deal with it, and I
Hmm.
didn't. So finally at the age of 51, I'm like, I'm at the breaking point. I can't sustain this lifestyle, and so
Hmm.
finally seeked help.
Well, yeah. And so at 51,
Yes.
what what made you think I can't sustain this lifestyle anymore?
So by the age of 51, I it starts with OCD, but then your mental health, especially over a 40-year period of time, anxiety and depression are coming in there, and it's leading to other things, right? And so I am 51 years old at that point in time. I am basically a shut-in. I don't like, call it social anxiety, but I have control in my home. But as soon as I leave my house, I have no control over the traffic. I have no control over the other shoppers at the
Hmm.
supermarket. So what do? Hey, I'm going to stay home. This is my safe place, and my house is just organized to the nth degree. So you open the cupboards in the kitchen, and all your green beans are lined up in a straight row, labels out. Um, you know, my closet is like color coordinated, and
Hmm.
and it just got to a place where, and not just for me. It was very hard for me to maintain, but my wife, she was at wit's end. Like, what do I do? How do I? My daughter still lived at home at that time, and you don't even know how to interact with me because you sit on the couch and you mess up the throws and the pillows, and I'm like freaking out, like,
Mm.
hey, we got to fix that, right? And fluff the pillows. And so yeah, I knew for a long time I had the issues, but it just in 2022, we have to do something.
So you reached out for help. Did you know when you reached out for help that you were going to have to go and stay somewhere? Or did you think maybe just some therapy, did you expect to have to leave your family for an extended period of time?
Absolutely not. No, I didn't know what was coming, to be honest with you. We were very lucky. I had a psychiatrist, I was on some meds and stuff, and she said, "Hey, I know this wonderful place in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin called Rogers Behavior Health." She had sent some patients there, and they had had tremendous success. And so my loving wife, she was like, "Okay, here it is, right? We're gonna work hard to try and get you in there." So she pushed all the buttons, made all the calls, did
Mm.
everything, and got me accepted. So then during that process, I'm like, "Yeah, I need help. I need help. I'm totally in agreement with this." But then you start hearing, "Oh, it's an inpatient program. It's 6 hours away, and you can have visitors, but like, oh my goodness, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, so yeah, no, Andrew, it was very scary to think about. Again, I'm a shut-in, so the safest place in the world for me is in my basement in my house.
Hmm.
And now you want me to go live, for an extended period of time in a completely different town. I'm gonna have a roommate. Wait, what?
Hmm.
It was very scary. Yeah.
So you get to Rogers. What's
hmm
that like? What's treatment like? What's the whole experience like?
Okay, so the first thing I will say is that the first 48 hours is terrifying, just
Mm.
absolutely terrifying. And I'm not trying to scare anyone that's listening to this, but you're coming from your world with your issues, and you have set up a safety net to make it as easy on your life as you can, and you just walked out of that.
Mm.
And I remember I walked onto the floor at Rogers. There were 11 other residents. Everyone's looking at you. I was in a pretty unique situation in that I was 51 years old,
Right.
and I would say the average age of the other residents when I walked on that floor was like 25 years old.
Mm.
So they're looking at me like, "Who's this grandpa?" You know, it was not what I was expecting. Um, so it was right from the start, it was pretty traumatic.
I would say though,
But
there's a moral there that it's never too late, right?
oh, oh yeah, no, I mean, and my therapist on the floor, she met with me and she said, "You know what? It is scary," because I'm sure I'm sitting there like probably crying, and I don't know
Mm.
if I can do this. And she's like, "Everyone says that, right?" And her first thing was, "You give it 48 hours, 2 days,
Mm.
okay, and it will start getting better." And she was right. I don't know that I slept a whole lot those first 2 nights. Oh man, it's scary. And then she said, "Okay, you made it through the first 48. Let's get to the 1 week mark, and let's really sit down and see how you're doing, and where you're at." And by the 1 week mark, um, I had they'd given me my program. Here's what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna work it. I had met all the individuals on my team that are gonna work with me. Um, and by the 1 week, like 7 days in, I said, "You know what? This is the place. This is it. I
Mm.
can do this, right? Like, I'm here, I'm committed, I'm doing this." And I am so glad that I totally bought in because it made all the difference. Yeah.
And was there like a moment when you realized that things were coming together, like that what you were learning was working?
Absolutely. It was almost at the 1 week mark because,
Yeah.
and I think there's probably a lot of residents that do this. You get there, and again, you have this safety net in a way that you're doing things, but you have these compulsions and stuff that are driving your life, and you're going there to change, but change is scary. Nobody wants to change, right? You
Right.
don't, I need to change, but oh my gosh, I don't want to change. And, um, yeah, and there was one of my early exposures. It just was it was successful, and I thought, wow, okay, this feels, it was freeing. I didn't have to do my compulsion anymore, like, and that was in the first week.
Hmm.
And so I was just like, this is going to work. So I bought in, and up till then I think I was pushing back a little bit, like, oh, this is too hard. I can't do this. This isn't going to work. I can't believe this. But then some success, and I'm like, yeah, this is going to work. And away we went. So,
And we will be right back. Everyone deserves a chance for recovery. That's what drives Rogers Behavioral Health Foundation. They're helping people get the mental health care they need, from covering treatment costs for those in need, to building clinics where care is hard to find, to funding cutting edge research. They're making real change happen. And guess what? You can help. Head to rogersbhfoundation.org and be part of creating a future where mental health and wellness thrive. And now back to the interview. So, you mentioned a roommate.
yes.
Benefits to having a roommate?
So, there was a lot of people on the floor. So I say a lot of people. There was 12 of us on the floor. If I remember correctly, there were two single rooms. The other 10 of us, five of us had roommates. Um, and there was a lot of people that were just like, I can't believe I have to have a roommate and all this stuff. The benefit, I think, is that it in and of itself is an exposure.
Mm.
Okay. So I am leaving the comfort and safety of my home, and one of the big things that I had to accomplish while at Rogers is overcoming social anxiety. All right. So, some of my exposures were as simple as going to Target and walking around the store and just being in, around other humans,
Yeah.
right? Strangers, that kind of thing. That's how simple it started. Well, here you are, you're in this room, you have a roommate. Um, okay, guess what? That's a pretty quick exposure. And he was probably just as uncomfortable as I was. Um, and it turned out that I was there 47 days. The whole 47 days that I was there, he was my roommate. So I didn't have to switch, which was probably
Hmm.
good. But by the end, you build a bond, and you see what he's going through, and everyone has their own thing. So it's fun to see him succeeding, and he was fully bought into the program and making great success, and I was. And so by the end, it's like, yeah, I'm glad I had a roommate. I don't think it would have been the same if I would have had one of the singles.
Sure.
So again, it is scary as heck the day you show up, and then the day you leave, it's like, oh, I'm gonna miss you, man. Like, good luck. So it was actually a good thing.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, with all the people, with a dozen people in the program, do you see a little bit of yourself and everyone else? Like, oh, we are all in the same, we're all doing the same thing right now.
So I'm so glad you brought that up. When I got there, it was definitely a matter that, we would go to, let's say, lunch. It was just like you're in middle school or whatever again, and certain people sat together at this table and other people sat here, and I was the old guy. Again, I was 30 years older than most of them. So I was sitting at a table in the corner by myself, and um, you know, that was just an age thing, right? It was,
Yeah.
but you spend 47 days with the same people, and you go to all these programs, and you do events, and you have fun outings together, and you start to grow and stuff. And I will say, the day that I left, I was a part of a coin ceremony, and I told these, I'm just going to call them youngsters, I'm like, when I got here, I was the old guy, and you guys were looking at me like I was a dinosaur. And I was looking at you guys, and you're these just young, college aged, like you're the age of my daughter. And I really felt like when I left, we were all just looking at each other like, it doesn't matter, boy, girl, age, what your each individual person's compulsions, issues were. We were all there for the same reason. We were all fighting, honestly, the same battle, and we were all succeeding together. It was an amazing, like, that group part of it was pretty amazing.
I know, from talking to you before, your wife played a pretty important role
Oh,
while you were in treatment.
yes, yes. Okay. I was very fortunate. scared to death to leave the comfort of my home. It was only, I say only, but it was a 6 hour trip to get to Oconomowoc. There were people there. This was so eye-opening for me. I got there and there were people there from literally all over the United States, Arizona, the East Coast, West Coast. It didn't matter. They were from all over the place. And here I am complaining, oh, it took me 6 hours to drive here, and they're flying in and driving for 3 days and that type of thing. But I was so blessed because my wife, let's see, I was there 47 days, and I'm pretty sure the number was 44. 44 of this 47 days I was there, I received a card in the mail from her giving me support and love, and another reason why she's so proud of me for making the choice to do that. And she visited, I think, twice, came and saw me on two separate occasions, nightly phone calls. I also had nightly phone calls with my daughter. And that support I couldn't have done it without them. That first 48 hours, I wasn't just at Rogers for me. I was there also for my family. And if they weren't supportive, or, hey, I checked in and they checked out, like, I know I wouldn't have made it. So coming to Rogers, you really need people in your corner to help make that happen and get you through it.
And we will be right back. Real quick, I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about WISE, the Initiative for Stigma Elimination. It unites people across the nation to support those touched by mental illness and addiction. The compassionate approach champions personal stories and powerful connections, fostering healing by reducing stigma through evidence-based practices. Rogers Behavioral Health supports the work of WISE through their Community Learning and Engagement Department. WISE collaborates with a diverse network of organizations and individuals united in the fight against stigma. You can learn more about WISE, explore their 4 key programs, and connect with them by visiting the website www.eliminatestigma.org. And now back to the interview. So who is Craig now?
Wow. So I still have a therapist that I meet with weekly, and we always start off with the kind of like the OCD update. All right. And every week it amazes me just how much I'm telling my therapist, this week I'm calling complete strangers on the phone. That was one of my social, I couldn't use the telephone anymore. And hey, I made 3 phone calls this week, and it still seems like such to most people, like, oh, you used the telephone. Great. Good job. Right.
Yeah,
but
right.
My wife gets it. My family gets it. My therapist, like, and for me, it is this huge thing. Like, oh, I just called and made reservations, and I couldn't do that 5 years ago. Right. Um, socially, I am back to the Craig that goes out, and my wife and I have this little business, and we do some farmers markets and stuff. So like every Saturday I'm out there, and I'm like the meter greeter, talking to the people, and so Andrew, I'm back to healthy Craig. I am fun Craig. I'm not this uptight, you know, I'm flexible with my schedule. It's great to be this Craig. I will say that.
That's really good. All right. So this, I don't know what the answer is going to be. I don't know if
Uh-huh.
we're going to keep this in or not. But
Sure. Go ahead.
so I was thinking earlier today, are you still the same person inside, but now you have the tools to fix the issues, if you will? Or does it change your line of thinking entirely? The program, that is.
So no, here's the thing. I think that and everyone's going to have their own answer to that, but I would
Yeah.
say after 40 some years of living with mental health issues, I don't think I will ever be able to say, hey, I am complete, check the box. I don't have OCD anymore. I will always live with some degree of OCD. And here's the thing. Rogers gave me the tools. I have the toolbox. I do know how to I can create my own exposure. If all of a sudden I find myself kind of sliding into, oh, I'm a little too structured with my schedule, I now know that I have to step back. Hey, come on, be flexible. And like I said before, I still have a therapist I check in with just about every week, and that's there for checks and balances too. But yeah, so no, I think it's Rogers fixed some things like, yeah, just okay, that's awesome. But I'm always going to have some OCD. And now Rogers gave me the tools, though, to just, hey, every now and then it's like a car, got to go in and tune it up, right? You got to keep that baby running at top, you know.
Yeah.
Um, that's where I'm at. So,
You, as we've said, are a man in his 50s.
yep, yep.
Did you ever feel stigma about getting help for mental health just because you're a man?
Okay, so yeah, the reason that I was 51 years old, the dinosaur when I walked on the floor at Rogers, is absolutely. I grew up in the 70s, 80s. Um, Back then there was no such thing as 401ks. There was no such thing as gluten, and there was no mental health, right? It was a different era. But what there was is that if you said anything about, hey, a mental health type of issue, you know, crazy. Like, oh, crazy people have mental health
Mm,
issues, or yeah, and especially men, and I know it still exists, but I would say definitely back then, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, men didn't cry, men didn't show emotions. You know, you just bottled it up and you were tough. And that doesn't work. It doesn't work. But I did not seek treatment. I did not ask for help because I was scared. I didn't want my friends. I didn't want the people I work with. I don't want anyone in the, you know, 1990s going, oh, there's something wrong with him. He has mental health issues. Holy cow.
right, right.
So stigma was a huge reason that, I threw away all those years of not getting help. Yeah.
I was gonna say, and then what would you tell someone who is going through that right now and thinking, I can't do this. I'm a man. I gotta suck it up, right? I can't
Oh,
get help.
right. Again, I think the stigma has hopefully lessened. It's not as severe these days, I would feel, but I know it's still there. But here's the thing. I look back and I think, okay, I can now say, listen, I was 7, 8 years old. I'm just a kid, and I knew something wasn't right.
Yeah.
Okay, at that point in time. Um, in my teens, if I could have got some help, like, just don't throw away the years. I've kind of coined the phrase, I suffered in silence. I knew there was stuff that needed help. I needed to fix things, but I couldn't. The stigma. So I suffered in silence, and finally, it took basically for me things to get so bad. My life was not, I can't continue like this before I could finally, admit it and get help. So if I talk to a younger male today, I would just say, listen, don't worry about what anyone else thinks. You're going to give up years of your life for people that don't even know you. Who cares what their opinion is? Get healthy. You'll feel so much better because of it. Yeah.
Craig, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me. I appreciate the conversation.
I thank you for letting me. I feel like this is just a small way of giving back after everything that Rogers did, and how much it's changed my life. I'm the one who's very appreciative. So thank you.
Well, listener, I hope you found today's conversation with Craig as inspiring and as insightful as I did. Um, I think his journey through residential care for OCD struggles in his 50s is a powerful reminder that it's never too late to address your mental health. And yes, it takes courage, and yes, it takes a leap of faith, but he is a living testament that it is worth it. So, with that in mind, if you know anyone who you think needs to listen to this podcast or should listen to this podcast, feel free to pass it along to them. And as always, thanks for listening to Rise Above, a podcast from Rogers Behavioral Health. Be sure to like and subscribe to be notified of new episodes. And if if you or someone you care about is struggling with a mental health or substance use disorder, you can visit rogersbh.org for a free mental health screening. Till next time, thanks again.